And you can see the screen with the slide on top, right? Okay,
Yep.
cool. So this this topic was inspired by a few ladies during their check-ins. I want to say it was like a month ago now, and I made a reel about it, so I don't know if you guys saw it, but I was noticing that a couple people were like, "Hey, like I've been constipated, I've been backed up, I don't know what's going on." And like the first thing that I did was look at their food logs, and they were eating the low carb balanced tortillas. And it was just funny because it literally happened like one day and then the next day with somebody else. And it's funny because before I even looked at their logs, my brain already thought, like, I wonder if they're eating these damn tortillas. And like, there's nothing wrong with the tortillas. And I remember posting this on TikTok, and like people were like tripping off the tortillas and saying that they're amazing and that like whatever. And I'm like, hey, you're missing the message. There's nuance to this, right? Like the they're not bad. It's just that if you're eating too much fiber in addition to them or eating too many of these tortillas, it can, have a trickling effect. And I'll dive into that in a little bit. But I just thought that this would be a great topic because it was something that I literally saw like back to back. Sophia says she loves them so much. Yeah, I used to love them too, but now it's like not really my cup of tea, if you will. So, um, today's presentation is going to be fiber, to poop or not to poop, that is the question. And so let's be real, fiber isn't like the sexiest topic, and it can be once you realize all the benefits that it has and that it's like the secret to like glowy skin and balanced hormones, but most importantly, not having to rely on coffee or a laxative to take a shit. That is so important. I feel like so many people are reliant on their morning cup of coffee in order to be able to go to the bathroom. And if that's you, I'm sorry, I'm calling you out. I've also been there. I'm sure a lot of people in here will resonate with this, but that's not normal. And so if you're relying on a laxative, which also I had a not comment, a conversation with someone, an old client in here, and she was just DMing me and she was like, I went to my doctor and they gave me a laxative and they told me it was fine to take every day. And I'm like, if you go to the website of that exact brand that you even just mentioned to me, it actually says it on the website not to do that. So anyways, I think there's a lot of misconceptions about fiber, is all I'm trying to say. And if you are relying on coffee or a laxative, I'm here to tell you that's not normal and we can fix it with fiber. So, fiber is hot. She is that girl for a variety of reasons. So, this is just some of them to kind of get you in the right headspace. So, first things first, fiber helps you balance your hormones. So, if you do have PCOS or hormone imbalances, or even if you don't, this just helps you detox excess estrogen out of your body that you do not need. Um, this also helps improve insulin sensitivity. And the reason why we want our insulin to be balanced is because if you are insulin resistant, then that means that your body is actually storing food and carbs as fat on your body. And so if you are not insulin resistant and you have improved insulin sensitivity, then it allows your body to actually effectively use food and as energy and then burn fat and not store it for later. So this is important. And also in general, eating high protein and strength training also helps improve insulin sensitivity too, which is all things we focus on in the program. But another thing that you can do is, keep an eye on your fiber. So, in turn, when you have a stabilized blood sugar and it's not all over the place, this helps you not have crazy sugar cravings, and just an unstable appetite. Like, it helps your appetite regulate. But this also helps you have steady energy all day long and not having like these energy crashes. So, if you're noticing energy crashes, it might be because of a blood sugar imbalance. And I might end up pointing that out to you. So fiber also supports in fat loss. Like I said, it keeps you fuller longer. And so you're not needing to eat as much food. So if you're eating in a calorie deficit and you have, a lower calorie goal for the time being in your dieting phase, having fiber will also help you feel fuller and make you, maybe not notice that you're eating as lower calories than your body necessarily wants to be eating. Another thing that's been interesting and kind of coming out, I don't know if any of you guys have seen this, but um, colon cancer has been on the rise. And so they're going into it and saying the importance of fiber. And so we're talking about fiber and it's kind of trending again. And it's one of those topics. And I remember it came out again, like as a whole fiber thing with like the Fiber One bars. I remember my mom kind of having a fad about it growing up a little bit. So it'll probably make its way and cycle around again eventually. But this isn't like a fad or like a trend. Fiber is here to stay. And it should be something that you should be thinking about no matter what, whether you're dieting or not dieting. This is something that we should be thinking about. And then also some fun facts about it is that it also does help clear your skin and help you reduce inflammation. So that's hot. We love that. Okay. So back to the tortilla example. There's such thing as, okay, too much of a good thing isn't always a good thing. And there is such thing as too much fiber. And that is what prompted this whole entire presentation, because a lot of people know that you should be eating fiber. And so they'll focus on it and maybe have too much of it, or they're not paying attention to it at all. Also in the tortilla case, where you're just eating kind of whatever, and you don't even know to look at your fiber for the day and how much you've been eating kind of on a day-to-day basis. And so this comes to the Goldilocks dilemma. We really truly do want to have like the perfect amount of fiber, because too little fiber is going to cause constipation, cravings, and hormone issues, and can also cause acne. But then on the other hand, if we're having too much, it can also give you digestion issues. So bloating, gas, constipation, because of poor mineral absorption. That's like essentially why. And that's kind of what was happening in the two ladies that reached out to me. And then I was looking at their food logs and they were eating, I don't know, like 40, 50 grams of fiber a day. And I was like, uh-oh, like ding, ding, ding. That's why you haven't been able to shit all week. So both of them, like I told them right away to take it out, reduce it, and no longer have the tortillas. And I'm not kidding, within like days or like the next day, both of them messaged me like, I'm all better and we're back to normal. And one of them, she's not on the call today, but she was like saying even before this, it was hard for her to, even like poop in the first place. And then we finally got her at a place where she was, and then things were good. And then out of nowhere, constipated. So she's like, what's going on? So this is something where it's like, she wasn't having any fiber. I told her, hey, let's focus on fiber. And then she focused a little bit too hard on the fiber. And then, I was like, wait a minute, now you're going a little too hard. Let's reel it back in and let's find a happy medium, a Goldilocks, if you will. So another thing to keep in mind is if you go from like 0 to 100 too fast, also like in this case, this can happen. So even if you're eating the right amount, let's just say that you're eating, and we'll go into the general rule of thumb that you'll see at the bottom in a second, but let's just say that you're eating the right amount for you. But if you went from 0 to your right amount, like overnight, that can also cause bloating, gas, constipation, things like that, and discomfort. Same thing with protein. So if you're someone who, isn't used to eating a lot of protein, and then you come into the program and then we kind of maybe jump straight into too much protein, you can get like the protein farts, if you will. I don't know if anyone resonates with that. But this used to happen to me all the time when I used to do like challenges. And so I used to do like where we would count macros for like 8 weeks and like go super hard and then stop. And then the second you go back to eating how you used to eat and not making it a lifestyle, then your body adapts to that again. And then I would go and hop in and do like another challenge. I'm talking, this was like 2014, this was like a long time ago before I knew what was going on in my life. But like I would take a break, go back to normal, and then go to a challenge. And like I just remember like literally like ripping ass for like a week and like being at my boyfriend's house like so scared, like running around the corner, like running to the other room, and I'm like, this is so bad, like this is bad, I can tell. And yeah, so now luckily I haven't experienced that in years, but I was thinking about that because now I just eat protein all the time. So anyways, too much protein going 0 to 100 or too much fiber going 0 to 100 can just be a lot on your digestive system, and it's like, what the hell is going on? So if you ease into it, which is also what I do with you guys, if you're eating lower protein, I always say, this is where we're at, this is where I want you to be, we're going to start here, there's a method behind the madness. I want to try to alleviate as much discomfort as possible, but also while you adapt mentally, learn things. But anyways, just keep that in mind. This is your trigger warning. So general rule of thumb, the amount of fiber that you're supposed to have changes depending on how much calories that you eat. So in general, you want 14 grams of fiber for every 1,000 calories that you eat. So in this case, let's say that your calorie goal is 2,000 calories, then you want to have 28 grams of fiber per day. And you can have a range. It doesn't have to be perfect, spot on, but just so that you know kind of the range that you're at. And so most people typically fall between 25, 30 grams. And that's kind of like the sweet spot where you can kind of monitor it and be okay without being religious about it and like stressing out about it. Okay. Does anyone have any questions so far before I dive into this? Okay, cool. So I'm not going to talk about this too much because it's not that serious, but like I obviously want to cover this because I think that there's a bigger message here that's important, is that we want some variety. So there's two types of fiber, soluble versus insoluble. And so both are equally as important. Not one's better than the other. You don't need necessarily more of one than the other. And this helps with your overall health, digestion, preventing diseases. Soluble fiber is what attracts water and it turns into a gel during digestion, and then this is what slows everything down and helps stabilize your blood sugar. And so this, if you go to take a fiber supplement, which I think is interesting, is you'll notice it's not just like these fiber sources. I don't even know how to say this word, psyllium. But they usually will sneak that in there too, so that they have a blend of insoluble and soluble, which is just interesting. So if you end up ever looking at a fiber supplement, which you won't need, but if you have taken it in the past, you'll notice it on there. And not a lot of us are getting this naturally. Like, I don't even know what that is. Okay, anyway, so insoluble fiber is what actually speeds things up and adds bulk and prevents constipation. So you'll see that one slows things down, and one speeds things up, which is once again why we kind of want to balance of both. But like I said, we don't need to like stress out about this. I just wanted to make a point to let you guys know that there is two different types. I put the two different types here so that you guys can like take a look at it. You'll also see that some of it has overlap. So some food sources have a little bit of both, which is cool. But the main thing here is that in general, it's good to have variety with your foods, especially when it comes to fruits and vegetables, because in general, they're going to have different vitamins and minerals. So someone like me, I'm a hardcore creature of habit, and I will eat the same thing for a month or like 2 months straight with my breakfast in particular. I do switch up my lunch and my dinner, but like my breakfast, I do overnight oats. You guys see every single week, and like I will post it if I have a new recipe or like vibe switch that I'm doing because it's like exciting to me. But if something's working for me, I'm gonna run it into the ground until I'm tired of it. And so the issue with this, for example, is that like my overnight oats for the past like 2 months was my toppings were berries. And I did get a different variety of blend, and I would go to the grocery store and I would get like raspberries, strawberries, blueberries, pomegranates, and cherries, and like kind of mix them up with those different blends. And so I'm still getting a variety. But now this week I'm doing apples on top. And so like there's going to be different vitamins and nutrients in, berries versus apples. And so when you're going to the grocery store, instead of getting broccoli every single week and eating broccoli every week, like I genuinely want to encourage you to also like switch it up and go from, like broccoli one week and then the next week getting like spinach, having berries one week and then switching it up and having apples with the skin on it, because the skin right here is what has the insoluble fiber. So in general, as long as you're mixing it up and not eating like the same shit all the time, you'll probably be in a good spot. And the reason why I'm also saying this is because in general, all of the nutrients that we need and vitamins that we need come from our food. I just saw Sophia's comment about stewed apples on oatmeal for a week. It's so good. Yeah, literally, I will take the apples and I'll put it in a pan and put a little bit of water, and I'll do like stevia, cinnamon, and like fry it up and then put it on top, and it's still fire. This week I was lazy and I just put on the raw apples, but it's still fire. Um, but okay, anyways, everything that we eat, or all the vitamins and nutrients and everything that we need as human beings, come from food. So, a lot of us are bad at eating our fruits and veggies, and so that's definitely a thing. But I want to remind you that you should not be taking like a multivitamin. You should not be taking any vitamins that you are not like for sure deficient in. If you have not got a blood test done and it does not say that you are deficient in a vitamin, you should not be taking it because now your body is going to fight to pee out the excess that you don't even need. And same thing back to the fiber. Too much of a good thing is not always a good thing and can actually have negative effects and start affecting other things. So, in general, supplements are literally called supplements by definition. Their name is supplement because it is meant to supplement what your diet is lacking. And so, America, go figure, is not really used to eating fruits and vegetables anymore. We've kind of steered away from that. And so, it's easier to maybe take a vitamin or whatever. But at the end of the day, most of it comes from our food. And so I just want to use this as a time to remind you, unless your doctor has given you a blood test and we have looked at it together and I've told you that you are deficient, you should not be taking anything. Okay, I think that's all I wanted to say about that. Okay, so if we're going to be talking about fiber, which is the fancy prebiotics is fiber. So if you ever hear the word prebiotic, it literally is fiber. But if we're going to be talking about fiber and prebiotics, we need to also talk about its bestie, the dream team probiotics. So fiber is essentially the good, fiber is food for the bacteria in your gut. And so the bacteria in your gut needs something to munch on. That's the fiber. This is going to be all the foods I just mentioned on the last slide: avocado, berries, almonds, etc. Now, the bacteria that eats the fiber is probiotics. I know that probiotics are also popular now, and there's lots of supplements for that. But I also want to remind you, you can get this from food sources. Now, I will say the list of probiotics is a limited list and it is a little funky. And so this is something that like almost feels a little more advanced because you start entering into the realm of not eating for fun, but eating to support your body and for health. And so a lot of people tend to like want to steer clear of this list, but it is really good for you in actually, once again, restoring your gut health. And so probiotics is found in anything that's fermented. So yogurt, kefir. I've never had kefir. Emma's not on this call today, but she told me that recently she bought it and she's like taking little shots of it in the morning and that it's kind of like yogurty. Why is it like adult? Remember like the Danimals? What were they when you would like drink it? It's giving that. But I've never had it. Sophia said it's not bad. But Emma was like, I like it. And I was like, okay, maybe I'll try it. I still haven't because I eat so much damn yogurt. I literally eat yogurt twice a day. Zoha says she likes it. Okay, cool. Watery Greek yogurt. You like gives me the ick. You know when you go to mix it and the water's on top? That triggers me even though I do it every day. Um, okay, so she said she gets the plain and the flavored one tastes a lot better. Yeah, I feel like if I had a flavored one, I would do it. And like, I'm literally thinking of it as like a shot or those little like, like vitamin shots. Like if you just take a little chug in the morning, you'll be good. And I think that since there's like dairy, it's protein in there too, which is, we love that. We're getting a shot of protein and fiber, which is our main thing that we worry about here. So yogurt is an easy one, but then I'll come across people who still don't fuck with yogurt. So it's like, okay. And then we'll go to sauerkraut or kimchi or pickled veggies. And so glue is killing me. And so unless you grow up eating kimchi, it is kind of acquired and like it feels like it only goes with like certain foods. So like people are kind of resistant to it. But like for me, I try to like sneak sauerkraut in and kimchi in wherever I can. And Trader Joe's actually has a fire kimchi that's like really, really good. And I remember being in Japan and eating like a lot of it and it actually like made me respect it more. But having it in the fridge and just sneaking it in where you can and where it makes sense is recommended. Once again, I know that it's hard. So I always say you want to get at least 2 to 3 servings of probiotics a day. But if you're not, then we can look at supplements. So once again, back to what I was kind of just saying, like we definitely can get it through foods. But if you're someone who you're like, I'm not going to eat any of that, or I just don't eat yogurt enough, or whatever it is, then we can look into a probiotic supplement. But my goal is to never give you guys a bunch of supplements and subscriptions. It's like if we can get it through food, let's get it through food. If not, then let's get it somehow. I wanted to throw this little screenshot in here because I made this a while ago and I found it and I thought it was useful. These are foods that are have higher content of fiber. So like I gave you the list of different fiber, but these ones have like higher volume of fiber versus like other ones on the list. So these will give you the most bang for your buck, if you will. And so if you want to screenshot this and keep this handy when you're going through and making your grocery list or what you're going to eat in the week, then this will be your bestie. Because even things that have fiber sometimes will have like 1 or 2 grams and you're like, what the fuck? Okay, so we talked about fiber, and that's going to be, if I'm noticing any discomfort, indigestion, bloating, constipation, things like this, specifically like a chronic bloating, I'm going to start helping you look at your fiber. And that's why this is something where some people, we don't have to really worry about it. When you come into the program, I'm like, let's just focus on calories and protein because I don't want you worrying about all these numbers and all these things. Some people, if like your only goal is to like lose fat and you're not really too worried about your health healing era yet, then I'm not going to really bring it up unless I see there's an issue and we need to start implementing it. And then after that, if you're eating the right amount of fiber and things are still kind of not moving and grooving, I'm going to make sure that you're having probiotics. And then after that, if you are still having bloating and indigestion, then we'll dive into some nitty gritty. And so at the end of the day, remember to trust your gut. Your gut is never wrong. And so if your gut is acting up, it just needs a little bit of love and support. And these are going to be things that I guarantee you would have never thought of and that make actually a huge difference. And so the first thing is limiting like drinking water before, during, and after your meal. Like, I don't know how to explain it. Like, if you're going to drink it, like sip on it, but like try to avoid chugging a glass of water and then eating, or like drinking a lot while you're eating. It allows like air to get in, and it kind of goes into the next thing that I'm going to talk about is that nowadays in our go society, and if you're working from home, you're eating during your lunch, and it's like, or I don't know, even like me, it's like I have 2 of my meals at work. Like I eat my breakfast at work, I eat my lunch at work, and then I meal prep my food. So then when I get home, it's like even right now before this call, I like had to quickly like heat up my food in the microwave and then like eat it as fast as I can. There's times where like I don't even sit down and I'm like quickly just eating it at the counter, and like that's just real life. But I'm going to tell you that if that's you, you might be paying for that. And so something to keep in mind is that we need to be taking our time. Like I like to envision, I don't know why, I like to envision like me having like an Italian dinner. Like they're there for 3 hours and it's like they're eating slow. They're not there to just like scarf the food down, they're really taking their time. So like every time I sit down, I really try to like envision like pretending I'm there and using that time to actually maybe socialize and, heaven forbid a family gathers around a dining room table anymore. I never did that growing up, but like that's my goal in life. And so taking your time, and by taking your time, I also mean chewing each bite thoroughly. And by chewing it thoroughly, I mean like chewing it until it's mush, like 15, 20 times per bite. Like I will damn near like eat my rice and like just like slurp it down. I feel like and not even eat it. Chew it sometimes. And so this is something to also be mindful of. Like we should not be, I don't know, like each bite should take you like at least 30 seconds, instead of just like having multiple back to back. Like you should really be present, chewing your food thoroughly and not scrolling on your phone, which is so impossible, especially if you're like alone. You feel like maybe you want to like scroll through stories or whatever. But we really don't want to be working, answering emails, talking on the phone, scrolling on it. Any multitasking is overstimulating. And this is kind of going to tie back to the previous call that we just had on the dopamine detox and nervous system. And because this all affects your nervous system. And so eating in a calm state, actually helps reduce bloating and indigestion. And it's really crazy, but not rushing is important because, like I was saying, you get air. So it's weird. So, like, if you're eating really quickly and multitasking and drinking water, you get like extra air that goes in. And so the air is actually what's causing the bloating and gas because it's real air getting stuck in there. And so we want to kind of reduce this air intake as much as possible, and that will help you with bloating and gas. So you want to, once again, have a calm nervous system. We want to be in a peaceful, relaxed state when we're eating, and like be present with it, and like be present with yourself. And a lot of us don't even get alone time or time to ourselves throughout the day. Like, if your meal is taking you only 5 minutes or less, we need to revisit that. We should really be trying to aim for like 15 minutes a meal and like really taking your time with it. And then one thing that you can do to get your body into this relaxed state is like deep breathing before a meal. And so you don't have to do like a 5 minute meditation or anything like that, but like really being present, taking a couple deep breaths in through your nose, out through your mouth before starting. You can even do like the box breathing method, where it's basically like you're supposed to be doing it like a box. So you think breathing in for 4 seconds, holding it for 4 seconds, breathing out for 4 seconds, holding it at the bottom for 4 seconds before you breathe in again, and just doing a couple rounds of that. That takes literally 20 seconds. So 16 seconds, 4 times 4, 16. But yeah, you do that 2 times, that takes you 30 seconds before you eat your meal. Okay. And then lastly, if we're doing all of the things and you're still having some discomfort, bloating, indigestion, whatever the case may be, I'm going to encourage you, and I work together with you on this, obviously, to look at food sensitivities. And I want to be abundantly clear: sensitivities is not an allergy. Doesn't mean you're allergic. It means that your body is sensitive to a certain food. And so the only way to really figure this out and determine it, besides going and getting those like tests where they prick your whole entire body and then it tells you what you're food sensitive to, is to do a food journal. And so it's kind of tedious. And once again, don't worry about this. I'm just letting you know this is kind of what we can do to roll things out and determine it. If this needs to happen, I'll tell you individually, one-on-one during your protocols. But if this happens to you in the future and you're not in the program, then this is something that you can do and think of, and definitely message me if you want help. But essentially, we're already tracking our food, right? So it's like you have your food logs technically in your app on your phone, but you pull out your notes app on your phone and you check in with yourself. And so you'll put like 8 o'clock, ate breakfast, and you'll be able to correspond it with your food log. So you don't have to necessarily like write out what was at breakfast. And then 10 minutes after, note how you feel. Feeling fine, whatever. 30 minutes later, note how you feel. Oh, I'm feeling a little gassy. I'm a little bloated. Okay, cool. Hour later, check in with yourself. How are you feeling now? Still there, or it kind of went away, and you can kind of note on it. Then we'll go back and look at it, and we'll look at your breakfast, and we'll see what ingredients were in that breakfast. Now, if it's something that you eat all the time, then it's kind of easier. If you're eating something different every single day, it could be, I don't know, it could be harder, it could be easier. It just depends on, once again, we're all unique in what we eat. But we'll kind of just like reverse engineer and look back at the actual ingredients in your meal, see if we notice any trends, and then start eliminating things just to see if it kind of goes away. And a lot of people think gluten, dairy are like the first things that come to mind, but it actually can be something that you're not really thinking of. Like, I've seen people have sensitivities to broccoli and like eggs. And both of those like aren't processed. Those are like from the earth, and from a chicken or whatever. Like, these are like whole foods. But like, some people can be sensitive to it. And so eliminating one ingredient might be like problem solved, and then you can avoid it. With that being said, I also tell people, like, pick your poison, right? Like, I always use this example, and I told my boyfriend I used that example the other day, and he was like, what the fuck? But he's literally like lactose intolerant and like should not be having ice cream. And like, you guys see my stories. Every time I'm having ice cream, this man is having ice cream. And we're not eating one scoop. Like, we eat like 4 scoops. So it's like every single time he pays for it, and he knows what's going to happen, right? So I'm always like, I'm not going to tell you what to do. Sometimes you got to pick and choose your battles and like weigh out the pros and cons. Like, is that discomfort worth it to you? and it's, you know, how much is this taking a toll on you? And obviously you can make that educated choice, but depending on how severe it is, now at least now you know we can limit it, you know. So um okay, we're about to wrap this up soon. So other things that you might want to know, some fun fiber facts, if you will, is fiber also needs water. So you can be constipated if you're hitting your fiber like you're supposed to. You're being a good girl, you're hitting your calories, you're hitting your protein, you're hitting your fiber. But if you're slacking off and not drinking your water, then you can become constipated. So once again, all of the goals I give you guys are really with a purpose, I promise, and I would not have you doing them if it wasn't like significant enough. If I'm having you do something every day, it's significant. And if you're slacking off on your water and you can't shit, then that's your answer. And then another thing is that now they're calling your gut like your second brain. And so they're finding connections like in how it basically affects like your actual brain and your mental health. And so having healthy gut bacteria actually makes neurotransmitters like serotonin, which is your feel good, happy hormone. And so it also can help like regulate your brain and everything and your mood, which is cool. And then I also wanted to keep here once again, gradually increasing in is key. Don't like up and root your entire life. So, in summary, we want to add 2 to 3 servings of probiotic foods daily if possible, or a supplement if absolutely needed. We want to slowly build fiber to about 25-30 grams a day, once again, depending on your calorie goal. I'll always tell you what your goal is. Don't forget to drink your water, and then really remember everything that I was kind of telling you about sleep and stress management and a calm, relaxed nervous system, because your gut really is connected to this too. Um, and it's also just reminds me, I didn't even go into it today, but like things like IBS and stuff, it's like usually IBS can be from lacking nutrients and also like anxiety, because your gut is connected to your brain and things, and your nervous system is what helps regulate also your anxiety. So it's really kind of crazy to see how powerful this is and how everything truly is connected. And just something to keep in mind. So I think that is it for y'all. Do you guys have any questions or anything? This was a quick and easy one. All right, cool. All in all, fiber's that girl. And like I said, don't worry about it unless I tell you, but we'll dive into that later as we progress within your own programming. So that is it, y'all. And I'll see you next month.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye, ladies.